forced into marriage with a Comanche warrior. A virgin discovered desire she never knew.
I believe is right.
Life on the frontier was never easy. The family's homestead lay far from other settlements, surrounded by wide fields of grass and clusters of trees that sometimes hid more than just deer. Her father often warned her that danger could come suddenly, and although Anna had always tried to be brave, she could not ignore the nervous feeling in her chest. Her day began as usual. She helped her mother with chores, fetching water from the nearby stream, tending the small garden, and collecting eggs from the chickens. Each task felt familiar, comforting even, yet her mind wandered to the stories her father told at night. Stories of Comanche warriors, swift and fierce, who could strike without warning. Anna had never thought she would see such warriors in real life. They were only tales to her, distant and unreal, like shadows she could never touch. But that morning, as she carried a bucket of water back toward the cabin, she noticed something unusual. The wind had shifted, carrying a scent she didn't recognize. It was sharp, earthy, and somehow powerful. Her stomach tightened. She looked toward the horizon, where the fields met the line of trees, and saw movement. Figures were riding fast, their silhouettes dark against the rising sun. Fear hit her like a sudden cold wind. She ran toward the cabin, her heart racing. "Mother," she called, but the voice that came back was distant, confused. Before she could reach her mother, she saw them, Comanche warriors on horseback, their eyes alert, their movements precise. Anna froze. She had only imagined these figures from stories, but now they were real and they were moving closer. Panic surged through her and instinct took over. She turned and ran to the barn, hoping to find a place to hide. She slipped behind stacks of hay, pressing her back against the rough wooden wall, trying to calm her racing heart. She could hear the pounding of hooves, the shouts of her family, and the sounds of struggle outside. Her hands shook as she held her breath, straining to hear every detail. Minutes felt like hours. Anna peeked through a crack in the barn wall and saw her family being rounded up by the warriors. Her father tried to shield them, but they were outnumbered. The sight made her stomach twist with fear and helplessness. She wanted to scream, to run to them, but her legs refused to move. A moment later, a shadow fell across the barn doorway. Anna's breath caught in her throat. She was discovered. One of the warriors, tall and strong, looked down at her with steady eyes. He did not raise a weapon immediately, only observed her, as if trying to understand who she was. Anna could feel her heart pounding in her chest, her pulse loud in her ears. "Do not move," the warrior said, his voice firm but not cruel. She could not understand the words, but the tone was clear. He gestured for her to follow. Anna hesitated, torn between fear and the knowledge that resistance could make things worse. Slowly trembling, she stepped out from the shadows. The warrior's eyes softened slightly as he noticed her fear, but his grip on her arm remained firm. They walked to the edge of the clearing, where other warriors were gathering. Anna tried to take in everything, the horses, the tools, the expressions on the faces around her, but her mind struggled to process it all. She saw her parents being separated from the children, her younger siblings crying quietly. Her heart ached and she wanted to scream, but her voice seemed to have left her. The warrior guiding her, whose name she would later learn was Tay, kept a steady pace. He did not speak much, but when he did, his words were gentle and deliberate. He seemed to understand her fear and tried, in his way, to calm her. Anna did not trust him, yet there was something in his presence that made her feel a little less alone in the chaos. The ride to the Comanche camp was long. Anna had never been on a horse before, and the motion made her feel dizzy and anxious. She held on tightly, afraid of falling, afraid of what awaited her. The landscape passed in a blur, fields, rivers, clusters of trees, all unfamiliar and filled with the unknown. She wanted to ask questions, to demand answers, but the words stuck in her throat. When they finally arrived at the camp, Anna was overwhelmed by what she saw. Tents and teepees were arranged in an organized pattern, with smoke rising from cooking fires. Children ran freely, women worked together preparing meals and tending the young, and men moved with purpose, maintaining the security of their home. Despite her fear, Anna could not help but notice the sense of community, the care the people showed for each other. It was a world completely different from her own, yet it seemed alive, strong, and real. Tay led her to a small tent near the center of the camp. Inside, the space was simple but clean, with blankets laid carefully on the ground and small personal items neatly arranged. He gestured for her to sit, and she obeyed, unsure what else to do. He did not rush her, but his eyes held a quiet expectation. Anna realized that in this new life, everything would be different. She had no control over what was happening, and every choice she made would be measured against the rules of this new world. The first night was the hardest. Anna lay on the blankets, listening to the sounds of the camp, the crackling of fires, the laughter of children, the distant calls of warriors returning from hunts. She felt completely alone, yet surrounded by life. Sleep came fitfully, filled with dreams of her home, her family, and the terrifying unknown. Over the next few days, Anna began to notice the small ways Tay treated her with care. He brought her water, helped her adjust to the new routine, and spoke to her in slow, gentle tones, trying to teach her words in his language. She did not understand much, but she could sense his patience and respect. It confused her feelings. She was still frightened, still angry at being taken from her family, yet she could not ignore the quiet strength in him, the way he seemed to understand her without needing words. Anna also began to observe the daily life of the tribe. She saw children learning to ride horses, women weaving and cooking together, men training in hunting and defense. Everything was new, unfamiliar, yet full of purpose. Slowly, she realized that life here was not only survival, but a way of living that demanded courage, respect, and cooperation. She could feel a shift inside her, a growing awareness of strength and resilience she had never known she possessed. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Anna sat outside the tent, wrapped in a blanket. She watched the firelight flicker across the faces of the people around her. Tay approached and sat a short distance away, not intruding but close enough that she felt his presence. He pointed to the fire, then to the sky, and slowly, gently, he tried to explain something about the stars and their place in the world. Anna could not understand all of his words, but the effort itself felt meaningful. She realized that communication was not only about words, it was about attention, care, and presence. For the first time since her capture, Anna allowed herself to breathe more freely. She did not feel safe. There was no escaping the reality of her situation. But she began to understand that survival required more than fear. It required learning, observing, and finding moments of connection, even in the midst of uncertainty. As night fell, Anna closed her eyes, feeling the cool breeze on her face and the warmth of the fire nearby. She thought of her family and prayed silently for their safety. She thought of the days to come, uncertain and unknown. And she thought of Tay, whose presence was slowly becoming less frightening and more complex. For now, Anna could do nothing but wait, watch, and learn. She did not know what the future held, but she sensed that this first part of her journey, the fear, the capture, the arrival in a world so unlike her own, was only the beginning. Her life had changed forever, and the path ahead would demand courage, patience, and a strength she had yet to discover. In the quiet of the night, under a sky filled with stars she had never seen so close, Anna made a small promise to herself. She would survive. She would endure. And somehow, she would find a way to navigate the world she had been thrust into, even if it was nothing like the one she had known. Days passed slowly for Anna. Each morning, the sun rose over the horizon, casting golden light on the wide fields and the scattered teepees of the Comanche camp. At first, she had been overwhelmed by everything, the sounds, the smells, the movement. but now she began to notice details she had never seen before. The children's laughter as they played, the careful way the women prepared food, and the disciplined routine of the warriors. It was a different life, and though it frightened her, it also fascinated her. Anna still missed her family terribly. She thought of her mother's gentle voice, her father's strong hands, and her younger siblings' laughter. She wished she could see them, hear them, even for a moment. Every memory was a sharp reminder of what she had lost. Yet she also knew that worrying alone would not change her situation. She needed to survive and learn how to live in this new world, even if it was far from the home she loved. Tay became a constant presence in her days. He did not force her to do anything she could not manage, but he guided her gently. He showed her how to carry water from the river without spilling it, how to gather firewood safely, and how to move quietly through the tall grass. Anna was surprised at how patient he was. When she struggled, he did not scold her. Instead, he demonstrated and let her try again. His eyes were calm and attentive, never rushing, never harsh. At first, Anna resisted any sense of connection. She reminded herself constantly that she had been taken from her home, that she was a stranger in this place, and that Tay was part of the force that had brought her here. Fear and anger were still the strongest emotions inside her, but she could not ignore his quiet kindness. He did not smile often, but when he did, it was gentle and reassuring. Slowly, she began to notice him not as a captor, but as a human being with his own thoughts, his own feelings, and his own life. Life in the camp followed a rhythm that was very different from the life Anna had known. Mornings were for chores, afternoons for lessons or helping in the village, and evenings for stories, music, or simple conversations around the fire. Anna learned to observe and listen. She began to understand the unspoken rules, the respect between people, and the importance of helping each other. It was a hard lesson, but it fascinated her. The tribe was strong because they depended on each other, and every person had a role. One day, Tay took her to the edge of the river. He gestured for her to sit on a rock while he knelt to show her how to fish. Anna had never fished before, and she struggled to hold the small spear correctly. She missed the first few attempts, frustrated and embarrassed. Tay watched patiently, then demonstrated the movement again, slowly, carefully. His hands guided hers for a moment, steadying her grip. Anna could feel the warmth of his hands and the strength in his touch, but instead of fear, a strange feeling of trust began to grow. "You must be careful," Tay said in his language, then repeated slowly in the words he thought she could understand. "Patience. Watch. Try again." Anna nodded. She could not speak the words perfectly, but she understood the meaning. She tried again, and this time the spear struck the water in just the right way. A small fish jumped, and her heart leapt with pride. Tay's expression softened. He nodded, a small smile touching his lips. It was not a grand gesture, but Anna felt a spark of something new, recognition, approval, and a strange, unexpected warmth. As the days turned into weeks, Anna began to learn more about the tribe. She observed how women taught children, how warriors trained with discipline, and how elders shared wisdom with patience. She realized that she had been living in a sheltered world, and this new life, while harsh and unfamiliar, was full of lessons she had never imagined. She began to help with small tasks, fetching water, tending the garden, preparing food, and with each task she felt a little more capable, a little more confident. Tay often included her in small parts of his daily life. He would take her on short walks through the surrounding fields, pointing out plants, animals, and the tracks of wild creatures. Anna listened and watched carefully, learning to read signs in the world around her. At first, she had felt afraid of every sound and movement, but gradually, she began to feel a growing respect for the strength and knowledge the tribe possessed. One afternoon, a group of warriors returned from a hunt. Anna had never seen such a sight. They carried deer and other game, their skill evident in the careful way they handled the animals. Tay helped Anna understand what each step meant, the planning, the patience, the respect for nature. She realized that this life demanded not only courage but attention, respect, and thoughtfulness. It was a way of living that connected people to the land, to each other, and to the cycle of life. Despite these lessons, fear never fully left Anna. She still worried about her family and the world she had lost. She had nightmares of the capture, of running and hiding, of the uncertainty that had brought her here. Sometimes, she would wake in the night, her heart pounding, and find Tay sitting outside her tent. Without words, he would hand her water or simply stay nearby, offering quiet support. Anna could not explain why, but his presence was becoming something she no longer feared. One evening, as the sun set behind the distant hills, Tay invited her to sit near the fire. The sky turned shades of orange and pink, reflecting on the calm river. He gestured for her to watch as he carefully prepared food. Anna observed, fascinated by his focus and skill. It was simple, everyday work, but there was a quiet dignity in the way he moved. She felt an unfamiliar feeling in her chest, respect, curiosity, and something more that she did not yet understand. In these quiet moments, Anna began to notice subtle changes within herself. She realized she was learning not only survival but patience, understanding, and even a growing sense of confidence. The fear was still there, but it was no longer the only feeling she knew. She began to see that her life could continue here, that she could adapt and find small ways to assert her independence. Tay, too, seemed to recognize the change. He gave her more responsibility, asking her to carry small messages, to help with cooking, or to assist children in learning. Each task was small, but it allowed Anna to feel a sense of purpose. She could see that he respected her effort and that she was gradually becoming a part of the tribe's daily rhythm. At night, Anna would sit quietly, reflecting on the day. She thought about the fear she had felt, the moments of learning, and the small gestures of kindness from Tay. She did not yet trust him fully, nor did she fully understand the complex feelings growing inside her, but she felt a quiet shift, a sense that perhaps not everything in this new life was cruel or harsh. There could be moments of understanding, respect, and even warmth. As the moon rose high in the sky, Anna wrapped herself in a blanket and gazed at the stars. She remembered the life she had lost and the home she might never see again, but she also recognized the strength growing within her. The world had changed, and she could not go back, but she could move forward, learning and adapting. And somewhere in her thoughts, Tay's presence lingered, not as a source of fear, but as a reminder that even in the hardest moments, human connection could exist, quietly and unexpectedly. Anna understood, even if only in a small way, that this journey had only begun. The capture was only the first chapter of a longer story, a story of survival, learning, and growth. She could not predict what the future would bring, but she knew that each day offered lessons, moments of courage, and opportunities to understand a world far larger and more complex than she had ever imagined. In the quiet of the night, she made another small promise to herself. She would continue to learn, continue to observe, and continue to grow stronger. Fear would remain, but it would not control her. And though she could not yet name the strange feelings she had for Tay, she would watch carefully, understanding that life, even when forced into unexpected paths, could reveal moments of trust, respect, and perhaps even unexpected bonds. As the weeks passed, Anna began to feel a strange mix of emotions. She was no longer paralyzed by fear, but she was far from comfortable. Life in the camp was demanding, and every day brought challenges she had never faced before. She learned to fetch water, help with cooking, and move quietly through the tall grass without alarming the animals. She had grown stronger, but her mind was restless, filled with memories of her family and the life she had lost. Tay noticed her growing independence. He did not praise her often, but the way he allowed her to try new tasks, to make mistakes, and to correct them on her own was a sign of respect. Anna realized that he saw her as more than just someone taken from another world. He saw her as a person capable of learning and adapting. Still, every day she reminded herself that her heart was not free. She was still a captive in a strange land, and trust was a slow, difficult process. One morning, a problem arose that would test Anna's courage and force her to confront emotions she did not fully understand. A small group of neighboring warriors arrived at the camp, riding quickly, their expressions tense. They brought news of approaching danger, a rival group that threatened to raid the nearby lands. The elders gathered to discuss their response, and the camp prepared for the possibility of conflict. The sense of tension was palpable, and Anna felt the familiar sting of fear return. Tay was calm as always, but the way he moved and spoke carried authority. He coordinated with other warriors, organizing defenses, ensuring the safety of the children and women, and preparing for what might come. Anna watched him closely, noticing the respect the other men had for him. He was not only strong but also wise, and his calm presence inspired confidence in everyone around him. Despite the fear, Anna was determined to help. She had learned how to carry messages, help with food preparation, and assist children, and she wanted to contribute. She ran from task to task, delivering messages, helping elders, and ensuring the youngest children were safe. Each action reminded her that she was no longer helpless. She had a role, and she could make a difference. That evening, after the immediate preparations were done, Tay approached Anna. He gestured for her to follow him. They walked to a quiet spot near the river, away from the noise and tension of the camp. The sky was painted with the colors of sunset, and the water reflected the orange and pink hues. Anna felt her chest tighten, partly from exhaustion, and partly from the strange pull she felt toward him. "You are learning quickly," Tay said, speaking slowly in the words he knew she could understand. His voice was calm, not commanding but firm. Anna nodded, feeling a mixture of pride and embarrassment. She was proud of herself, yet she still felt uncertain about her place in this world. Tay looked at her for a long moment as if measuring her strength and resolve. "You are brave," he said finally. "You have courage." The words surprised her. No one had ever said such things to her before. Even her parents, who loved her dearly, had not seen the strength she was discovering within herself. Anna felt warmth spread through her chest, a feeling she could not easily name. The next day brought new challenges. The rival group did not arrive, but the threat of attack kept the camp alert. Anna found herself on edge, listening to every sound, watching every movement. She realized that fear was a natural part of life here, but it no longer controlled her. She was learning to act, to think, to respond rather than simply react. And as she worked, she could not help but notice how Tay seemed to watch over her, ensuring she was safe without being overbearing. One afternoon, while helping carry water from the river, Anna stumbled on a loose rock. She nearly fell into the water, but Tay was there instantly, steadying her with his strong hands. The contact was brief, yet it sent a shiver through her. She felt both embarrassed and oddly comforted. He did not speak, only helped her regain balance, then stepped back, giving her space. Anna realized that she was beginning to feel something more than respect for him, a curiosity, a fascination, and a feeling she had never known. The following days brought small lessons in trust and courage. Anna learned how to ride a horse properly, how to observe the land for signs of danger, and how to work with the children to teach them simple skills. Each day built her confidence, but also brought new awareness of her emotions. She noticed herself glancing at Tay more often, wondering what he was thinking, feeling, and seeing. She did not understand why these thoughts made her heart race, but she could not stop them. One evening, a minor conflict arose among the younger members of the camp. Two boys argued over a game, and their voices grew loud and tense. Anna stepped in, using words she had learned to calm them. She guided them gently, encouraging them to listen and respect each other. Tay watched from nearby, nodding slightly. Anna felt pride and a strange sense of connection. She realized that she was no longer just surviving. She was becoming part of this community, influencing it in small but meaningful ways. Yet, the emotional challenge remained. Anna struggled to understand the feelings growing inside her. She was grateful for Tay's guidance, touched by his quiet kindness, and fascinated by his strength and calm. At the same time, she remembered her family, her home, and the life she had lost. The mixture of fear, respect, curiosity, and something more confused her. She did not yet know what to call these feelings, only that they were strong and impossible to ignore. One night, after the camp had settled and the fire burned low, Tay approached her again. He sat quietly beside her, not speaking at first. The silence was comfortable, not tense. Anna realized that she did not feel fear as she had in the beginning. Instead, there was a calm, an understanding that he was not a threat. Gradually, Tay began to speak, telling stories of his life, his family, and the tribe's traditions. His words were simple, but they painted pictures of a world she had only begun to understand. Anna listened intently, fascinated by the stories and the patience with which he shared them. She realized that there was much she had never known, about courage, about responsibility, and about the ways people could care for each other even in difficult circumstances. She also noticed how his eyes, steady and calm, seemed to hold respect for her intelligence, her curiosity, and her growing strength. Over time, a subtle bond began to form between them. It was not love, not yet, but something delicate and complicated. Anna felt safe in his presence, yet her mind remained cautious. She could not forget that she had been forced into this world, and she knew that trust must be earned, step by step. Still, she began to wonder what it would mean to rely on someone, to share strength, and to face challenges together. A turning point came one morning when a small accident occurred. A child tripped near the river and fell in. Anna reacted instantly, jumping into the water and pulling the child to safety. She struggled against the current, her arms aching, her lungs burning, but she refused to let go. Tay was there immediately, assisting her, but it was Anna who had acted first. When the child was safe, Anna felt a surge of pride and relief. Tay's approving gaze followed her, and for the first time, she felt a true sense of accomplishment in this new life. The experience changed something inside her. Anna realized that courage was not about the absence of fear, but about action despite fear. She also began to understand that connection could grow from shared experiences, from moments of trust and care. She did not yet know where this bond with Tay would lead, but she sensed that it was real, meaningful, and capable of growing in ways she could not yet imagine. As the day ended and the sun dipped behind the hills, Anna sat by the fire, reflecting on the events of the past weeks. She had faced fear, learned new skills, helped others, and begun to understand the strength within herself. She had also begun to recognize a new emotion, one that combined respect, curiosity, and a subtle fascination with Tay. It was confusing, yet powerful, and she knew it would not disappear. In the quiet of the night, Anna made a promise to herself. She would continue to learn, to face challenges, and to grow stronger. She would respect the rules of this new world, while never losing sight of who she was. And she would observe the bond developing between her and Tay carefully, understanding that trust, respect, and connection were delicate things that required patience, attention, and care. This was the beginning of a new chapter in her life, one filled with challenges, lessons, and unexpected emotions. Anna knew that the days ahead would test her courage, her mind, and her heart. But she also knew that she was no longer helpless, no longer a mere observer. She had become part of a world that demanded strength, wisdom, and resilience. And in this world, she was beginning to discover not only her own abilities, but the possibility of human connection that could grow even in the most difficult circumstances. The days grew longer and warmer as the seasons changed, and Anna felt herself growing stronger. both in body and mind. She had learned to carry water without spilling it, to ride a horse with careful balance, and to help with daily chores around the camp. She had gained the trust of many in the tribe, from the children who ran to her for guidance, to the elders who nodded in approval at her effort. Yet, even with these accomplishments, her heart and mind were filled with conflicting emotions. Anna could not ignore the feelings that had been growing since she had arrived in the tribe. Tay's presence had become a constant part of her thoughts. She did not fully understand her emotions, but she found herself observing him whenever he moved through the camp. The way he interacted with others, with patience, quiet authority, and care, captured her attention. She felt respect, curiosity, and a strange warmth whenever he was near. It was confusing and difficult to reconcile with the fear and anger she still felt about being taken from her home. One morning, Tay asked Anna to join him on a journey outside the camp. They would travel to a nearby grove where certain medicinal plants grew. These plants were important for treating wounds and illnesses within the tribe. Anna felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety. She was eager to learn, but also nervous about leaving the safety of the camp. She mounted her horse carefully, her heart beating fast, and followed Tay through the wide fields. The journey was quiet at first, filled with the sounds of hooves on the soft earth and birds singing in the trees. Anna noticed how Tay seemed to move with ease, aware of every sound, every movement around him. He occasionally pointed to plants or animal tracks, teaching her their significance. Anna listened intently, realizing how much knowledge he possessed and how patient he was in sharing it. As they reached the grove, Tay dismounted and gestured for Anna to do the same. The grove was quiet, filled with the rustling of leaves and the smell of damp earth. Tay began to gather certain plants, explaining their uses in simple words and gestures. Anna followed carefully, copying his movements. She felt a sense of pride in learning something new and a deeper appreciation for the knowledge he carried. At one point, Anna stumbled while reaching for a plant, nearly losing her balance. Tay was there instantly, steadying her with a firm hand. The contact was brief, yet it sent a flutter through her chest. She looked up at him, her cheeks warming. Tay only nodded, encouraging her with his calm eyes. The moment passed quickly, but Anna could not stop thinking about it. She realized that she was beginning to feel a connection with him that went beyond respect or gratitude. After they had gathered enough plants, they returned to the camp. Anna helped Tay prepare the herbs, learning how to combine them properly for healing purposes. She noticed how careful he was, how much thought he put into every action. Watching him work, Anna began to understand the depth of his character, not only his strength and skill but also his patience, intelligence, and sense of responsibility. She felt admiration for him, and with it came an unfamiliar, growing attraction. The next few days tested Anna in ways she had not anticipated. A small accident in the camp left one of the younger children with a minor injury. Anna was frightened but determined to help. She carefully applied the healing herbs she had learned to prepare, following Tay's instructions. The child calmed under her care, and Anna felt a sense of pride she had never experienced before. She realized that her abilities were growing, and with them, a confidence she had never known. Yet, as her confidence grew, so did her awareness of her feelings for Tay. She noticed the way her heart raced when he spoke directly to her, the way she longed for his approval, and the quiet sense of comfort she felt simply in his presence. Anna struggled to understand these emotions. She knew that she had been brought into this world unwillingly, that she owed him nothing, and that her life had been turned upside down. Still, the connection she felt was undeniable, subtle, and persistent. One evening, as the sun dipped low in the sky, Tay asked Anna to sit with him near the fire. The sky glowed in shades of orange and pink, and the camp was settling into quiet. They spoke little at first, only observing the gentle movement of the flames. Anna felt her chest tighten with a combination of anticipation, nervousness, and a strange warmth. Tay finally spoke, his words simple but deliberate. He spoke of courage, of responsibility, and of the importance of understanding others. Anna listened carefully, realizing that these lessons went beyond survival. They were lessons about life, about trust, and about the quiet power of connection. She felt herself drawn to him, not only for his strength but for the wisdom and care he demonstrated in every action. Over the following days, Anna found herself paying attention to the smallest details of Tay's behavior. She noticed how he moved with purpose, how he treated others with respect, and how he remained calm even in difficult situations. These observations stirred emotions in her that she could not yet name. She felt admiration, fascination, and a growing desire to understand him more deeply. The turning point came unexpectedly. A sudden storm swept through the area, with heavy rain and strong winds. The camp worked quickly to secure the children, tents, and supplies. Anna found herself caught in the chaos, struggling to help as the wind tore at her clothing and rain soaked her through. Tay appeared beside her, guiding her safely, protecting both her and the children from danger. The experience was intense, frightening, and exhausting. Yet it also revealed something Anna had not anticipated. She realized that Tay's presence brought a sense of safety and calm she had never felt before. His strength was not only physical but emotional, and it allowed her to face fear without panic. The storm passed, and Anna felt a deep sense of gratitude and connection that went beyond simple trust. In the days that followed, Anna began to reflect on her journey. She had arrived in the tribe frightened, uncertain, and unwilling. Now she had learned to survive, to contribute, and to navigate a world far different from her own. She had discovered strength within herself and an awareness of emotions that were complex, subtle, and new. She felt a connection with Tay that was growing, shaped by shared experiences, trust, and respect. Anna also began to consider the meaning of desire, not in the way of immediate attraction, but as a recognition of human connection, care, and understanding. She realized that what she felt for Tay was layered: respect, curiosity, admiration, and a budding recognition of intimacy that went beyond words. It was confusing and unfamiliar, but she could not ignore it. One quiet evening, as the camp slept under a sky full of stars, Anna sat by the river, reflecting on everything that had happened. She thought of her family, her home, and the life she had lost. She thought of Tay, his strength, his patience, and the way he had helped her grow. She realized that her emotions were complex, unpredictable, and powerful. And she understood that her journey was not just about survival. It was about discovering herself, her strength, and her ability to connect with others in ways she had never imagined. Anna made a silent promise to herself. She would continue to learn, to grow, and to navigate this new world with courage. She would respect the tribe, its rules, and its people, while also exploring the emotions stirring inside her. And she would carefully observe her feelings for Tay, understanding that trust, respect, and affection were delicate, meaningful, and worth nurturing with patience and care. The days ahead would bring more challenges, more lessons, and perhaps more opportunities to understand herself and her connection with Tay. Anna knew that the journey was far from over, but she felt a quiet strength building within her. She was no longer a helpless girl brought into a strange world. She was becoming someone capable, resilient, and aware, someone who could face fear, embrace learning, and discover the depth of human connection, even in unexpected circumstances. And so, as the fire burned low and the stars shone brightly overhead, Anna allowed herself to feel hope. She had faced fear, learned courage, and begun to understand complex emotions. She had discovered a bond with Tay that was growing quietly, shaped by trust, care, and shared experience. It was a bond she did not yet fully understand, but she knew it was real, meaningful, and powerful in its own way. The journey was far from over. But Anna, for the first time, felt that she could face whatever came next with strength, courage, and an open heart. Time moved steadily in the Comanche camp, and Anna felt herself becoming more comfortable in the rhythms of this new life. Each day brought a sense of purpose, helping with chores, assisting children, learning more about the land, and observing the tribe's careful way of living. She had changed so much from the frightened, uncertain girl who had arrived months before. She now moved with confidence, made decisions carefully, and understood the importance of community and cooperation. Even with all the learning and adaptation, her thoughts often drifted to Tay. The bond that had begun subtly now felt stronger, shaped by shared experiences, trust, and quiet moments of understanding. She admired his strength, his patience, and the way he treated every person in the camp with respect. Anna no longer feared him, but she felt a new curiosity and a warm connection she could not fully explain. One morning, the elders called a gathering. The entire camp assembled near the central fire, and Anna, guided by Tay, joined them. The elders spoke of the importance of unity, courage, and trust, reminding everyone that every person's role was valuable. Anna felt a sense of pride. She realized that she had earned a place in this community, not because of force or obligation, but through her efforts, her learning, and her courage. After the meeting, Tay led her to a quiet spot near the river, away from the bustle of the camp. The morning sun reflected on the water, creating a sparkling, golden surface. Anna noticed the calmness in Tay's eyes and the quiet strength in his posture. He did not speak at first, only looked at her, as if giving her the space to reflect on herself. "You have grown strong," Tay said gently, his voice steady and kind. "You are brave and wise. The tribe respects you. I respect you." Anna felt her chest tighten at his words. They were simple, yet they carried weight and meaning. For the first time, she realized that respect could be more powerful than fear or command. It could inspire, nurture, and create connection. Anna smiled softly, feeling warmth spread through her. "Thank you," she said, using the words she had practiced many times. She realized that she could now express herself with confidence, even in a world that had once been foreign and frightening. The days that followed were filled with small lessons and shared moments. Tay taught Anna how to identify changes in the wind, how to read the tracks of animals, and how to predict the weather by observing the sky. Each lesson built her understanding, not just of survival, but of the intricate balance between people and nature. Anna realized that this knowledge was empowering. She was no longer entirely dependent on others, and that gave her confidence she had never known. One afternoon, while helping Tay repair a damaged fence near the edge of the camp, Anna felt the quiet beauty of working together. They moved in harmony, passing tools, steadying posts, and laughing softly when mistakes were made. Anna noticed the ease of Tay's movements, the focus in his eyes, and the patience in his gestures. She felt admiration, warmth, and a subtle sense of closeness that was new and exciting. It was different from fear, respect, or obligation. It was a connection built on understanding, shared effort, and quiet trust. Later that evening, Anna found herself sitting by the fire, reflecting on the journey that had brought her here. She thought of her family, the life she had known, and the fear she had felt when first captured. But she also thought of the growth she had achieved, the courage, knowledge, and strength she had gained. And she thought of Tay, realizing that her feelings had evolved. She respected him deeply, trusted him, and felt a subtle, blossoming warmth whenever he was near. The camp settled into its evening rhythm. Children played softly, the elders spoke quietly, and the firelight flickered across the faces of the tribe. Anna felt a sense of peace she had never imagined possible. She realized that life could be harsh and uncertain, yet also full of learning, connection, and moments of quiet joy. One night, Tay invited Anna to walk with him along the riverbank. The moon reflected on the water, casting a silver glow over the landscape. Anna felt a quiet anticipation. This was one of the first times she had felt entirely free to walk beside him, without fear or urgency, simply sharing a moment of calm. They spoke of simple things, the patterns of the stars, the changing seasons, and the lives of the people around them. Anna realized that she could now express herself openly, without hesitation or worry. She spoke of her experiences, her challenges, and the lessons she had learned. Tay listened attentively, nodding, his calm presence encouraging her confidence. As they walked, Anna noticed a new depth in her feelings. She felt admiration, gratitude, and a quiet affection. These emotions were neither overwhelming nor confusing anymore. They were natural, shaped by time, shared experiences, and trust. She realized that connection was not forced or instant. It grew slowly, nurtured by patience, care, and understanding. The turning point of this final chapter came during a small festival in the camp. The tribe celebrated the changing seasons with music, dance, and stories around the fire. Anna was invited to participate, and she joined in, feeling a sense of belonging she had never experienced before. She danced, laughed, and shared stories with children and elders alike. For the first time, she felt truly part of the community. Tay watched her from nearby, a quiet smile on his face. Anna caught his gaze and returned it, feeling a deep, unspoken understanding. She realized that what she felt for him was not just admiration or curiosity. It was a meaningful connection built on shared experiences, trust, and respect. It was a bond that had grown naturally, shaped by their time together, and it brought her comfort, confidence, and a sense of home she had not expected to find. After the festival, as the camp settled and the stars shone brightly overhead, Anna sat quietly with Tay near the fire. They did not speak at first, only observed the flickering flames and listened to the sounds of the night. Anna felt a sense of calm and gratitude. She had endured fear, adapted to a new life, learned countless lessons, and discovered a bond that was subtle, strong, and meaningful. "You have grown," Tay said softly, his voice carrying warmth and sincerity. "You are part of this tribe now. You have strength, courage, and wisdom, and you have learned to trust yourself." Anna nodded, feeling the weight of his words. They were not empty praise but recognition of her journey, her growth, and her resilience. In that moment, Anna understood something important. Life could be unpredictable, full of challenges and fear, but it also offered opportunities for growth, connection, and understanding. She realized that she had discovered her own strength, learned to navigate uncertainty, and formed bonds that were meaningful and lasting. And most importantly, she recognized that connection, built on trust, respect, and shared experience, was one of the most powerful forces in life. As the night grew deeper, Anna felt a sense of closure. She still remembered the fear, the capture, and the uncertainty that had brought her to this place, but those moments no longer controlled her. She had grown, learned, and discovered a depth of courage and understanding she had never known. She had also discovered the beginnings of a meaningful bond with Tay, one that would continue to grow in trust, respect, and quiet care. The journey that had begun with fear and uncertainty now led to acceptance, strength, and connection. Anna realized that she was no longer simply surviving, she was thriving. She was part of a community that valued her, trusted her, and had allowed her to discover her own courage and wisdom. And in Tay, she had found not only a guide and protector, but also a companion in understanding, a source of quiet support, and a meaningful connection that would shape her life in ways she had never imagined. As the first light of dawn touched the horizon, Anna rose and looked around the camp. She saw children playing, elders teaching, and warriors preparing for the day ahead. She felt a deep sense of belonging and purpose. She had been forced into a new life, but she had embraced it with courage, learning, and an open heart. She had discovered strength, resilience, and a bond that was subtle, meaningful, and enduring. And in the quiet moments, when she thought of the journey she had taken, Anna smiled softly. She had faced fear, adapted to a new world, and discovered the depth of human connection. She had learned that trust, respect, and understanding were the foundation of meaningful relationships. And most importantly, she had found within herself a courage and resilience she had never known existed. Anna knew that the future would continue to bring challenges, lessons, and growth. But she also knew that she was ready. She had discovered the strength to face uncertainty, the patience to learn and adapt, and the ability to form bonds that were meaningful and true. She was no longer simply a girl who had been captured. She was a young woman who had learned, grown, and discovered the power of courage, trust, and connection. And so, as the sun rose higher, casting light over the camp, Anna embraced her new life fully. She had endured, learned, and grown. She had discovered herself, her strength, and the meaningful bond she shared with Tay. Life had brought her to an unexpected place, but she had found courage, connection, and a sense of belonging she had never imagined.